Today we will start unit number 5 of STQA, Quality Assurance Models. In this unit we are going to see various models that are going to assure the quality in your application or softwares. So which are the various models that we are going to see in this unit? We will see those models one by one. Different models are: number one, ISO 9000 series. You might heard this ISO 9000. Then CMM, CMMI, test maturity models, and SPICE model. We are going to see all these different, and last one is your Malcolm Baldrige model. We are going to see these different models in this unit. PCMM is one more model, that means we are going to see all this in this unit. The very first is your ISO 9000 series. The name is going to tell you that this ISO 9000 is a series of your standard that is going to provide the quality assurance in the system. The system can be any system. It should not always be your software or application. You might saw this ISO certification on any of the product. If you are going to purchase anything in the market and if you observe it carefully, you will see that ISO mark is given on that product. So that ISO mark is nothing but this is ISO series or ISO ISO quality assurance system. So it is not specifically for this computer applications or your softwares. It will be useful or it will be applicable to any of the product in the universe. ISO stands for, everybody knows that, International Organization for Standardization. It helps organization to ensure that they meet the needs of customer and other stakeholder. What ISO will going to do? This organization will going to ensure that whether they have going to meet the customer's requirement or not. Whatever product they are going to develop, the requirement of the product must be satisfied by the customer or other stakeholders. This organization is going to monitor this activity. That's why they are going to give the quality assurance on any of the product. ISO 9001 deals with the requirement that organizations wishing to meet standard, it must be what fulfill. This 9001 series is useful for checking the standard, whether the standards are fulfilling or not. It deals with fundamentals of quality management system, which includes 7 quality management principle. This ISO 9000 series, it will basically going to deal with the fundamentals of quality management system. Whatever will be the fundamental 7 quality management principles, this ISO standard will going to check whether all the 7 quality management principle will going to satisfy or not. So which are those? So let's see different 7 quality management principle. Number one is customer focus. Everything should be focused by keeping the customer at the center. So in case of any of the system, when you are going to develop any system and when you are going to test or you are going to check the quality of the system, you should keep in mind that the customer will be at the center and you are going to focus on the customer. The customer can be your either technical customer or non-technical customer, literate or illiterate customer. It can be from any of the age group. It can be the customer can be of any ability or it should not be of any ability. You need to focus on each and every aspect of the customer. That's why the first principle will be customer should be focused. The second principle will be the leadership of the organization. The organization, who is going to lead the organization, the management or the trust board, whoever it may be. Leadership is very important because the leadership is responsible for policy framing, policy execution, and requirement fulfilling. Then next principle is engagement of people. People should be properly engaged. The people can be either customer, stakeholder, developer, tester, anything, any people can be involved in the this generalized term people. So there should be the proper engagement of the people. It should be one of the principle. Then next one is process approach. The proper process should be defined. The process of software development, the process of software testing, or the process of system deployment, the process of system design. Each and every process must be properly defined. It should be clearly understandable by both the parties. Both the parties means development company and the customer. So each and every process should be what? Clearly understandable. It should be known as your process approach. Then there should be the continuous improvement in the system. The improvement helps in achieving the better and better quality in the system. So there should be what? Consistent improvement in any of the system. Then next is evidence based decision making. Each and every decision should be taken on the basis of evidence. It should not be the blind decision. For every decision, you must have some evidence, you must have some proof. Like, for example, if you are writing a code for addition, you are giving the input as 2 and 2. The expected output should be 4. But if you are getting the output as a 5, you should not take it granted that yes, he is telling me the right. You should ask for the proof. The proof can be in terms of your screenshot, it can be in terms of your video record, it should be in terms of anything, but the proof should be there, or there should be some evidence, and on the basis of this evidence some decision making activity should be done, and it is a part of your what? Quality management principle. Why you are going to take some decision? To improve the quality. That's why it is one of the principle of your what? Quality management principle of your ISO 9000 series. And last principle is your relationship management. How you are going to maintain the relationship with the customer, that should be the important part. Why? Because you should not lose any of the customer. If you lose the customer, you will not going to get the money, you will not get going to generate the revenue, and if you will not get the revenue, how you are going to run the company? That is why the relationship is very important, and proper relation should be maintained with each and every stakeholder of the company. I'm not saying only with the customer, I'm talking about the relationship should be maintained with each and every stakeholder of the company. The stakeholder can be your customer, it can be your employee, it can be the person who is going to provide you some material, who is going to provide you some PCs, hardware, anyone. There should be what? Proper relationship with the stakeholders. So these are the 7 quality management principles that are going to focus in your ISO 9000 series. Those 7 principles are there in front of you on the screen. Now let us see the evolution of ISO 9000 standard. How this ISO 9000 standard comes into the picture. We will see the evolution of this standard. The very first version was developed in 1987. It was named as 1987 version. This ISO 9001 1987 model for quality assurance, it is specifically in design, development, production, installation and servicing, was for companies and organizations whose activities included the creation of new product. So basically this ISO 9001 and 1987 model, it was going to focus on the designing of the system, development, production, installation and this service the company is going to provide to the customer. This 87 will going to focus on these activities, as well as it will going to focus on the various organizations whose activities included the creation of new product. This is 1987 version. Then in 1987 they introduced another version, ISO 9002 1987 model for quality assurance in production, installation and servicing. had basically the same material as 9000 but without covering the creation of product. If you can see in 9187 and 9287, you can see design and development was there in one, but in two design and development was not there. That means they are not going to focus on creation of new product, because designing and development was the part of your what, new product development, which was skipped in 9000 to 1987 model. So it was the first model. In third model 9387 model for quality assurance in final inspection and test cover only the final inspection of the finished product. 9003 was responsible for what? Inspection of finished product. That means basically the testing activity was done in 9003 1987, because the finished product will be ultimately your final output, and the test covered only the final inspection. That means the testing was covered in 9003 1987 model. Then next one was 1984 version. Previously it was 1987. Then they came up with 1984 version. It was highlighted quality assurance via preventive actions instead of just checking final product. In 1984, what was there? They are going to provide various preventive actions instead of just checking the final product. If this kind of error will occur, what should be the action? If this error will come, what should be the action? This is called as your preventive action, and this preventive action was focused in 1984 version. Please remember this. It was not only the checking the final product. Instead of that, it was going to help you in the case of your preventive actions. Continued to require evidence of compliance with proper documentation. In 1984, they were requiring your what? Evidence of compliance. What will be the error? They were focusing on evidence, and on the basis of evidence, the proper documentation was created, that in this case, if you will face this kind of error, you are going to do this kind of activity. If you face this error, you are going to do this activity. This is what your evidence based activity is. If you remember, many time I ask you send me screenshot, because whatever you are going to tell me I may not understand, but screenshot will going to clear me the idea what exactly happening. That's why the evidence is very important to understand the exact problem. Then only we can provide the proper solution on the problem. Then after 6 years they launch new version 1984. Then they came up with 2000 version. 2000 version replaced all three former standards of 1994 issue, 9001, 9002 and 9003. All those previous versions were replaced with this 2000 version. Design and development procedures were required only if a company does. It was not mandatory that design and development procedures should be there. You can include design and development if a company is in the field of your designing and development. Then only you are going to include in 2000 version. Then 2008 version, it was renamed as ISO 9001 2000, only introduced clarifications to existing requirement of 9001 2000 and some changes intended to improve consistency. What was focused in 2008? In 2008, they were mainly focuses on improving the consistency. There should be the proper output, and that output should be the consistently. It was focused in your 2008 version. Then later on 2015 version was there. The 2015 version was introduced. The scope of standard has not changed. Whatever standard have been mentioned in the 2008, the same standard have been continued in 2015 version. However, structure and core terms were modified to allow the standard to integrate more easily with other international management standards. What was focus in 2015? Structure and core terms. They were modified. Why? To allow the standards to integrate more easily with other international management system. Whatever international standards were there, they should be properly integrated with this 2015 version. That's why 2008 was modified with the 2015, which will going to cope up with or which will be integrated with the international management standard. That was up to your evaluation of 2000 9000 standard. Then we will see ISO 9000 series. How many ISO 9001 certificates were distributed worldwide till now? In 2000, if you see on the screen, in 2000, total number of ISO 9001 certificates distributed were 4,09,421. In 2001, it was increased by 1 lakh. Then 50,000, 6. You can see how up to 2003 the growth was very less. Then in 2004, when new version introduced, the change you can see by 1 lakh. Then 1 plus lakh. You can see how it is going to increase. In 2000 it was 4 lakh. In 2014 it was 11 lakh. The change was from the difference was 7 lakh. These figures are up to 2014. After that the figures are remaining. These are the total certificates distributed under your ISO 9000 series. What are the different contents of ISO 9000 2015? You can see up to 2014 we have the figures with us. In 2015 they introduced new activity, new procedure. That's why the figures from 2015 were absent. So if you wish to apply for the 2015, then what are your contents of 2015? If you wish to apply for 9001 2015, the requirement is a document of approximately 30 pages. Their standard form is of 30 page. You need to give all the information in those 30 pages. अगर आपकी कोई कंपनी है, आपके कंपनी को अगर आपको या आपके किसी प्रोडक्ट को आपको ISO 9001 2015 का सर्टिफिकेट अगर आपको लेना है, तो उसके लिए आपको ISO के पास एप्लीकेशन करना पड़ेगा. उस एप्लीकेशन जो भी रहेगा दैट विल बी इन प्रिंटेड फॉर्मेट और उसके पेजेस कितने होंगे 30 पेज का वो एप्लीकेशन फॉर्मेट रहेगा. This document is available with national standards organization in each country. It is there in every country. Only ISO 9000 is directly audited against for third party assessment purposes. Only this 9000 will be going to audit the against your third party. This ISO 9001 2050 has total 10 number of contents. Those 10 contents will be comprised in your 30 pages. So which are those contents? Let's see different 10 contents of your ISO 9001 2015 certification. Number 1, what will be the scope of your product or what will be the scope of your company? Then normative references, terms and definition, context of organization, list of leadership, planning, support, operation, performance evaluation and continual improvement. Why this continual improvement or what are these 10 components? The very first one is what is the scope of product or what is the scope of your company. Then you are going to give the normative reference, different norms and its references. Then you are going to specify different terms and conditions along with some basic definition. Then you are going to provide context of organization, everything related with your what organization. Then you should provide the leadership or the management or the trust board or trustees. Then you should provide exact planning. What will be the planning? How you are going to implement the system? How you are going to develop the product? You should give proper planning. Then you are going to give the how you are going to provide the support for your product. How your company is going to give the technical support. What are the various operations? How you are going to evaluate the performance of your system. And once you evaluate the performance of your system, you are going to check the continuous improvement of your product, how your product will be continuously improving.